Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another Lord of the Rings sealed Qualifier Play-In Event. This one is going to be in best of 3 rounds, and it's going to be really fierce competition because we get kicked out if we lose a single round. So we need to win 4 best of 3 games to get qualification into the Qualifier Weekend starting tomorrow, and if we lose any best of 3 round, then we're out of the event entirely. So once again, going to be some more pretty fun competitive sealed of the new format. Without further ado, let's just hop in and see what we get to play with today. Definitely some pretty solid rares to keep an eye on today. We've got Shelob, the Child of Ungoliant, the big spider demon, gigantic card that can turn things into food tokens when you kill them. No reach on this card, which is very important to keep in mind because there are some good flyers in the format, but overall, really massive game-ending threat. So pretty cool card to have. We also have a Legolas in green, which is another great card if you have a lot of cards that target your own creatures or target creatures you don't control, because every time you target Legolas, you get a counter on him, and every time you target an opposing creature, you get to have Legolas shoot another opposing creature as well. So really solid card there in green as well. We also have Moria Marauder, which is good if you have a lot of goblins and orcs. The amass mechanic in this format produces orc armies, so that works really well with the Marauder. So great card there. We also have There and Back Again, which is a little bit slow, but pretty dang powerful overall, so definitely good for sealed, because it will take a little bit of time to set up, but we will be able to get a Smaug token and slam our opponent for a ton of damage. Lobelia Sackville Baggins is fine. 3 mana 2/3 Flash Menace is already a fine rate, and you can also potentially get a bunch of treasure the turn that you play her. So nice to see that pretty much all of our rares are playable. I think the strongest ones are probably the green ones and the red ones, but pretty good rares overall. Kind of depends on what we've got in the commons and uncommons, what we have the most support for, but there are a lot of powerful directions to take the rares. So I'm going to start off taking a look at our colorless and multicolored cards. As I like to do, the colorless cards can fit into the deck no matter what and can show us what kind of mana fixing we've got access to. And the multicolored cards could be strong cards that would push us into a specific color pair. So we've got Inherited Envelope, Shire Scarecrow, and a couple Shire Terraces for mana fixing. Again, I'm not a huge fan of any of the mana fixing in this format, so all of these cards aren't the greatest, but the quantity of mana fixing is definitely there if we want to splash in a third color for sure. Mirror of Galadriel and a couple Lembuses are decent little value plays, a little bit of card draw to go around if our main colors in our deck are lacking on that front, but they're not super exciting. As for our multicolored cards, there are not a lot of them. There's just a Gwaihir the Windlord and a Shadowfax, which are both solid cards, but they aren't incredibly big reasons to try to be in those color pairs. More just a bonus if we already end up in that direction. Neither are really something we want to splash in or anything. The super big Spider Demon is definitely something to splash in if we're only playing green or black. But these uncommon multicolored cards are just solid. Alright, so with that out of the way, we are going to take a look at each color, starting off with white here, which looks very solid. There's a really good quantity of just solid creatures in white. Our non-creature spells aren't very good. Slip on the Ring is very narrow, very situational, and Hobbit Sting isn't great removal unless you have a ton of creatures, and ideally a little bit of food tokens as well to make it more consistent. So not a big fan of our non-creature spells in white. But if we pair our white with a secondary color that has a bunch of great removal spells, card draw, anything like that, then we could have a pretty solid deck, because what we do have in white is a great curve of creatures. I think Bill the Pony is a very solid play. 4 mana for a 1/4, a really good Ring Bearer, because it's hard to block a ring-bearing 1-power creature, because you have to block it with something else that has 1 power. So Bill can get in unblockably pretty easy if you make Bill the Ring Bearer, and then you can use the food token ability to flip Bill's power and deal 4 damage to your opponent, which is pretty nice. Errand Rider of Gondor is a very good value play, keeping you fueled with cards as you're curving out with creatures. Westfold Rider is super great because it gives you main deckable artifact and enchantment removal. There's a few Took Reapers, which can get the ring tempting you, which is just a valuable mechanic in general. Samwise the Stout-Hearted is another card for the ring to tempt us, and a good graveyard recursion card. The only issue with Sam is that we have to play him the turn something dies, but still a great card there. And some good finishers. Stalwarts of Osgiliath gets that ring to level 2 more often than not, because we'll probably have played a Took Reaper or Samwise by then, which means that every time we're attacking with our Ring Bearer, we're drawing a card, discarding a card, which is triggering the Stalwarts, and they're getting bigger and bigger. So pretty big fan of the Stalwarts of Osgiliath. And Landroval's also pretty solid for sealed since it is a bit slower than draft. Definitely fallen pretty low on this card in draft. I think it's okay, but I don't pick it very highly. But if we have it in our sealed pool, it's going to be a super fine finisher. Definitely happy to have a couple copies of that. So white is kind of just a collection of very good creatures. We'll see what we've got going on in blue now. We have some solid non-creature spells, but that's really about it. I don't see a huge reason to be in blue here unless we had a really good multicolored blue card, which we've already seen. We don't really. We have one Gwai here, which is fine. But overall, like Birthday Escape, Arwen's Gift, Glorious Gale, those are 3 spells I like quite a bit. Iortha the Healing House is a solid creature. That's kind of it. I guess there is the Scroll of Isildur, the rare. But mostly just a lot of filler here. It's not a good curve. There's nothing really spicy pulling us into the color. Not super into our blue. Checking out our black now. Definitely looks like a powerful color, but mainly because black just is so powerful in this format. This is actually one of the weaker piles of black cards that I've seen in sealed. I think this is a bit below average for what you're usually going to get out of black because of just how good the color is in general, mainly because we have none of the removal spells. There's multiple excellent removal spells in black at common and uncommon in this format, and we've just opened up stone cold 0 of them, so that is a really big bummer. But we have opened some of the really good value creatures. We have cards like Gothmog, 4 mana for a 3/3 and a 1/1 Death Touch is great. If you have other amass going on, then it's a little bit weaker actually, because you'd rather have a 1/1 Death Touch than just, put a counter onto your 2/2. But it's still a very good card in either position. We've got a Dunlin Crebain, which is a great amount of stats for the cost. We've got Gollum Patient Plotter, which is a very, very good card. 2 mana for a 3/1 that can give you some ring tempting value and come back from the graveyard to your hand later. It's a really good combo with Haunt of the Dead Marshes, since the Haunt of the Dead Marshes can get sacrificed to the Golem to replay the Golem, and then once you have your Golem on the board, you can just reanimate the Haunt of the Dead Marshes from the grave because you have a legendary creature on board. It's just really, really sweet, those 2 cards together. We've also got a Troll of Khazad-dûm, which is a nice swamp cycler, Torment of Golem to pull stuff out of our opponent's hand. Overall, some pretty great stuff in black, but I am certainly bummed about the lack of removal here. We actually don't have any colors with good interaction so far, so we're probably going to have to play red or green. We're going to have to play something that has some form of interaction, but overall, liking black quite a bit. I think white and black are very viable options. I just don't know that I would run the 2 together, because then we'd be playing like no removal spells. Moving on to red, we actually have a couple removal spells here, which is great. They are a little bit situational because red doesn't tend to get just destroy target creature, you just have small amounts of damage. So if our opponent has a really high toughness creature like a Generous Ent or something late game, where they have a 5/7 reach, that's going to be really hard for us to kill. But 2 Smite the Deathless are still going to be incredible removal spells all the way up to like turn 5. A lot of the 3 mana or less cards, almost every 3 mana or less creature dies to this. And plenty of the 4 mana creatures as well. There are plenty of solid 4 mana 3/3s and 4 mana 4/3s with good abilities in the format that Smite can kill. So still love the double Smite, still will absolutely play those if we play red. We've also got that Moria Marauder. That's going to be pretty good if we go red-black. Not great in any other color pair. We do have a couple goblins and orcs here to help it out. I guess this is a troll, not an orc. So I guess it's just 2 Battle-Scarred Goblin and a Moria Marauder on color here. So yeah, we definitely want to be red-black ideally to get Moria Marauder to work. But there's an Eomer, which works in any color pair. Just a 5/4 haste that almost always spits out a 1/1. There's There and Back again to spit out that Smog token. That'll be super powerful. There's an Oliphant for Land Cycler. Big fan of our red. I think it's probably our best color so far. It's not quite as deep in terms of the quantity of cards as our white or our black is, but the flexibility, the versatility, actually having some amount of removal and some amount of potential card draw, I think makes it the best color so far. And last but hopefully not least, let's check out our green here, which looks pretty solid. There are a lot of cards here. The thing about green is that it is the weakest color in the format. There are a lot more filler cards in this color than any other, and this sealed pool is no different. We're seeing a lot of the filler. Pippin's Bravery is not that great of a combat trick. Elven Farsight doesn't do much of anything unless you're a very dedicated scry deck. Revive the Shire is a very slow graveyard recursion card. Entish Restoration is fine for fixing. Woe's Pathfinder is great for fixing. I don't think I'll play Restoration unless we end up playing a 3-color deck like green-black / red or green-red / black. Feels like the most likely places for the Entish Restoration to go. Galadrim Bow is also a pretty expensive combat trick, but it leaves behind an equipment, which is cool. So that could be cool. Overall, I think I would start with it in the side for now. Not that interested in playing it. Anyways, and there's like Lothlorien Lookout, which again, pretty filler without scry synergies. Brandywine Farmer is really bad without a ton of food synergies because that 1/1 body is just so small. Peregrine Took doesn't really do anything without food synergies. It's just a 3-mana 2/3. Like, we've got a tiny bit of food production. We have very little out of white, so it's not even like we can get a secondary color to really bulk up on our food production. So it's just Meriadoc Brandybuck, Peregrine Took, Generous Ent, and Brandywine Farmer. And unless we're playing every single one of those, I don't think Peregrine Took's going to be that good, and I'd really rather not play the Brandywine Farmer. So these are all like the definite playables in green, which lowers the quantity of cards down quite a bit, but that could be okay because we get a Pathfinder, we get an Entish Restoration, and we have a lot of colorless fixing. So we could do this just to get Legolas in here, as well as the big spider at 6 mana. Overall though, still the most excited about our red, I think. This falls pretty in line with our black and white, so I think we're almost definitely red. And then we have to consider between green, black, and white as secondary colors, potentially playing 3 colors here with some splashes thanks to the green. I think if we are going to splash around and we are going to do 3 colors, it should involve the green since we get the Woe's Pathfinder there. So let's start off, cut the definite cuts here, which I think are Rush the Room and Flamesmith for sure. We are not going to have a very high instant sorcery count because our non-creatures in the sealed pool kind of just suck in general. We're just really low on instants and sorceries, period. So a 2-mana 2/1 that hits our opponent for maybe 1 or 2 extra damage, not going to be worth it because there are plenty of 1/1s in the format to blow it up, make it pretty bad. Plenty of 1/3s in the format as well, where it's just not going to attack or block favorably. I'm also not a big fan of Olug High Crusher, unless you're a really aggressive deck, and I don't think we're going to be that aggressive. We're going to be pretty mid-rangey, pretty standard for a sealed deck, where the inability to block could be a big hindrance. And yeah, we do have a few goblins, and we might have a few amass cards in red-black, but that still doesn't mean it's going to be consistently blocking every time, so I think I can cut that as well. And that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 red cards here. Means we need 15 playables in our secondary color if we're just going to be a 2-color deck. So if I put every black card in the deck, that's still not enough cards. Yeah, I guess it's been a little while since I played Sealed. I'm probably still in the draft mindset, where because you can curate your deck so much, you can kind of always insta-cut cards like Olakai Crusher and Erebor Flamesmith. But in Sealed, we just don't have as many on-color cards. So we are going to actually have to keep some more filler stuff like Crusher if we want to play just a 2-color deck. Pretty big fan of how black-red looks. Makes our Moria Marauder as good as it's going to be. And I think we just have really good really solid black-red amass synergies in general. So pretty happy with this. I also don't really need to deck build this at all. I could just run every single black and red card and then cut a land because we have 2 land cyclers. We've got a Troll of Khazad-dûm and an Oliphant. That would be pretty reasonable. Yeah, I've got a pretty high creature count, and I've got some really expendable creatures for Nasty End. And we don't have a lot of card draw because we're just black and red, so I think Nasty End actually does fit fine in here. It's also a pretty cute synergy with Mordor Trebuchet. If we get a boulder attacking, I can sack the boulder before it sacrifices itself. Cute synergy with Haunt of the Dead Marshes, because that can keep coming back. Don't love the feel of a main deck Black Breath, especially when I don't have very many other cards where the ring tempts us. Still feel like it's probably better than a 17th land when we have 2 land cyclers, though. So this is pretty interesting to me. We are running some filler cards for sure. But overall, the card quality is pretty high, and I do like the consistency of just being in 2 colors. But I would be interested to see, so looking at the multicolored cards, if we're playing a bit of green, then we get the Spider Demon, which is huge. We probably want green to be one of our core colors, because we need double green for Legolas. And green gives us Woe's Pathfinder, which can find our other color. So, what do I cut the most? Moria Marauder is going to be pretty difficult to cast in a 3-color deck, and our Orc and Goblin count is going to drop down quite a bit if we add in green to this deck. So I think Moria Marauder gets pretty weak. I think I still run There and Back again. It does require double red, it does require 2 red sources, which can be a little difficult, but then we don't need 2 red sources until turn 5, which is significantly easier to hit than 2 red sources on turn 2. That means you need most of your lands to be red sources to cast that consistently. But waiting on a 5-drop, 2 red sources for that is fine. We could really just splash red. The only thing that's difficult to fit in here off of the splash is There and Back again, but I think it's still strong enough to do that. The Oliphant helps a lot here, which is nice. We do have the Shire Terraces. I don't think Great Hall of the Citadel helps us much because it doesn't tap for sagas. I think it's just for legendaries. If that mana could be spent to cast historic spells, sagas are historic spells, but they're not legendary, so I don't think that actually really helps us. It can help splash in Aomer, but even if we have a lot of legendaries in our deck, the majority of our cards are not legendaries, which means this will still be a colorless source more often than not, which is a pretty rough sell. Pretty hard sell there. We could play the Envelope, could play the Scarecrow, and could play double Shire Terrace. I think the fixing's good enough. We're almost definitely supposed to be doing a splash here, and I think it would be green at the core, red as the splash. So green, black, splash, red. Alright, Pippin's Bravery is a pretty filler combat trick. Let's just get all this stuff out of here. Still need to cut 13 cards. I don't love the Elven Farsight. Nasty End's fine. I'm not immediately going to cut it. I'll put it in a maybe pile. Revive the Shire, I think, probably does get a bit better when we have 3 different land cyclers in the deck. Like, we have a land cycler in each color. So we should have something big in our graveyard to bring back to our hand consistently. Hoping our fixing is good enough we don't have to play the 0/3 Scarecrow, but I'm not immediately going to cut it. Trebuchet's definitely a lot weaker now that we're not doing much out of red. It's only going to be flinging boulders at our opponent when we're attacking with our orc armies, which we can do a little bit. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got like 4 orc army cards. I don't think that's enough for Trebuchet or Grand. If you're crewing Grand for 3 power, it is not a great card. If it's like always active, if you just are going to pretty much always have an army on the board, that's where I think Grand is a solid playable. But if that's not the case in your deck, if you have less than like 7 amass cards or something, probably would not be that interested in running Grand, and we definitely have less than 7. Black Breath is kind of sideboard material. Brandy Wine Farmer is just bad. Definitely keep Restoration in here since we're on 3 color. The really nice thing about Restoration is it can grab 2 mountains off this one card. So this can single-handedly get us to our there and back again. Got the bow. I don't really think I've got room for combat tricks. Let's cut all the definite cuts here. Still need to cut 7 more cards. So how much other token production do I have outside of food tokens? I really don't think I have enough for Peregrine. Well, hold up a minute. We have 11 token producers right now. So we'll still have 10 token producers even if I cut this Revive the Shire. Might actually be reasonable. We could cut all that. We're down to 2 cards to cut. I actually don't know if we need Inherited Envelope. Again, we have 1 land cycler of each color. We have 2 Shire Terrace. We have Woe's Pathfinder. We have Entish Restoration. I don't know that we need the envelope. I still don't think it would be bad. It's just we're working to cut down to 40 cards here. Get the deck streamlined to the absolute best cards, just the cream of the crop. Remove this here. I guess more realistically, I should just put the land cyclers into the land pile. Let's do that. I mean, I kind of want to just cut the envelope and a land, but I could also just cut 2 lands because we have 3 land cyclers. I'm tempted to cut 2 Shire Terrace, but I don't imagine that's correct. But Shire Terrace is really, really bad. It's one of the worst mana fixing lands we've had in Limited in a long time, so we're kind of just stuck with it when we're doing splashes. Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse, the staples that have been reprinted in pretty much every draft format and sealed format in a long time, they're not great cards, but they're decent mana fixing when you need it. And now that we don't have them, I feel just like so much pain having to run cards like Shire Terrace. You just fall behind really quickly. Whereas if you had a Terramorphic Expanse or an Evolving Wilds, you could just go, all right, turn 1, play it, crack it, boom. Done. Simple as that. Easy as that. Just don't play your 1-drop. Or it's a lot easier to fit 1 extra mana into the curve than it is to fit 2 extra mana into the curve. Because on turn 3, you can play a 2-drop and crack it. But with Shire Terrace, if you want to crack this on turn 3, you have to play a 1-drop and crack it, or play nothing. If you want to crack this on turn 4, you have to play a 2-drop and crack it. You can't play a 3-drop and crack it. I don't know. It's pretty bad. I don't feel like it's right to cut those 2, but our fixing is good enough that we might be able to. We have Entish Restoration, Inherited Envelope, Woe's Pathfinder, 3 land cyclers. Alright, I think I'm going to meet in the middle here. I'm going to cut 1 Shire Terrace, but I'll leave 1 of them in here. And then probably cut a mountain, because I just need 1 mountain and a Pathfinder or an Envelope to cast there and back again. Or a single Restoration can grab 2 mountains. We've also got Oliphant upping that mountain count, and green and black are just much more represented in this deck in terms of quantity. So cut a mountain. What do we have on green-black? I might cut 2 mountains, honestly. 11 black cards, 9 green. Green cards include Pathfinder and Restoration. So the green cards include mana fixing, which is big. So I do want to keep the black and green sources real high. I'm going to drop a mountain here. Go 2 red sources, an Oliphant, an Inherited Envelope, and a Woe's Pathfinder. Alright, so here's a look at our final deck list for today, and as things tend to go in Sealed, this is kind of just a collection of our strongest cards out of our strongest colors. So we've got a bunch of green and black solid stuff. The biggest reasons to be in the color pair are the Shelob, Child of Ungoliant, just a gigantic spider demon that can close out some games pretty well. We've also got a Legolas, Master Archer out of green, and in black we just have a consistent collection of very solid cards like Gothmog, Golem, Dunlin Crebain, Torment of Golem, Mordor Muster, a bunch of solid value plays like that. And with some extra mana fixing thanks to our green with cards like Woe's Pathfinder and Entish Restoration, as well as our colorless mana fixing like Inherited Envelope and Shire Terrace, we do get to splash in red relatively easily for some removal spells. Our entire sealed pool had 3 removal spells total. We're playing all 3 of them. 2 Smite the Deathless and 1 Ents Fury. And we're also splashing for Aomer, which is an easy splash, and our one splash that's a little difficult is There and Back Again, since it does require 2 red sources, which is kind of hard to hit off the splash. But again, we've got some cards that can add a mana of any color. We have the Entrance Restoration that can grab 2 mountains off of the 1 card, so I think we should still have a decent time casting this, and it's powerful enough to be worth the risk of falling behind, because we do get Smog, the gigantic flying hasting dragon. So pretty solid stuff overall. Looks like this deck should have a pretty good time in most games. The only big issue it has is it's not super high on interaction, but it's as high as we possibly could be in the sealed pool. And we could have some mana issues, but other than that, we do get to curve out pretty well in the early game, play some creatures throughout, make sure we can make some blocks, make some attacks, and we've also got plenty of late game stuff. We've got our big, gigantic spider, we've got our giant Aomer, and we've got 3 land cyclers that can keep our mana hitting consistently in the early game, and also make sure we've got tons of late game action as well. Outside of potential mana issues, it is definitely a very consistent deck here that can play it well in the early game and play well in the late game, and I'm pretty excited to see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are on the play for game 1 of round 1 with a Snap Keep Definite Incredible hand. No, that's a mulligan. There's literally 0 lands. We can keep this hand because it's basically a 3-lander, but having 2 of our 4 red cards is pretty awkward. Yeah, I mean, it's basically a 3-lander. I can just ditch one of the red cards. We get to play Kerbane on turn 3. I'm not in love with it, but it is probably decent enough to take over our average 5-card hand. Kind of rough to hit this after a forced mulligan. If this was our opener, I think we could mulligan down to 6, but we kind of already got forced mulligan down to 6, so we'd have to go down to 5 for that, and that would just be really rough. Alright, we do hit land 3 naturally. Still feels like I probably should cycle this Generous Ents. Guarantee land 4 for Gothmog. I'm going to get a little greedy about it though. I'm just going to sit here. Draw into an Inherited Envelope, so that is another mana source. So now we're at 4 mana, but we'll have to play Gothmog off curve if I don't draw another land. And that's where the greed of keeping Generous Ent could come into play, because it'll make our turn 4 play considerably worse than just playing Gothmog. Alright, Ranger's Firebrand. We draw into an Ents Fury, which is not particularly good here. So I guess we poke them with the Kerbane. We just play the Envelope this turn. Now we have a Ring-bearing Kerbane that's super hard to block, and I could still force cycle the Ent. But it's the only card I need a 5th mana for anyway right now. So I'm just going to hold on to it. Next turn we can play Gothmog, or we can play Fury plus Smite. Our opponent is already at level 2 of the rings. They get to draw a card, discard a card every turn. Make that play out much more consistently. Just draw kind of whatever they need. There's our big spider. Okay, we're gonna force cycle if that's the draw. And then I think I am just gonna smite the Watchdogs here instead of playing a Gothmog, because stopping our opponent from drawing and discarding a card every turn is a pretty big deal. The consistency you get from that is just huge. Alright, here's a Foray of Orcs to kill our bird. There's the land for the big spider. Let's drop it down while they're tapped out of any counter mana. Try to go from there. This is actually really good with Ents Fury, because Ents Fury will count as damage from a spider, so we can get a food token. Could Ents Fury and just hit them for 10. There's no blue, green, or red tricks that are going to give this death touch, so I think I would rather just attack and save Ent's Fury for their next blocker, since they already can only chump as their best line. Yeah, so they just take the 8 anyway. Suppose we play Gothmog and Haunt, since Ent's Fury is not an instant. Torment of Golem is the draw. I'm actually not opposed to drawing that. They've got a lot of cards in their hand. I doubt they're going to cast all of them in one turn. There's an Elven Farsight to scry 3. If they reveal the top card of the library and it's a creature, they get to draw it. Which I'm assuming since they kept the card on top, they did hit a creature, and they did. Erebor Flamesmith it is. They're going to Gandalf Sanction the Gothmog. So our army doesn't have Death Touch anymore, but we can still make it a 3/3 with Torment of Golem, which is beautiful. We can see exactly what they've got. Aragorn the Uniter, which costs green, red, white, blue, and Fangorn, which is just a 4/10 dork. And they need another green source. They can't cast either of these. Those are both real hard to cast with their current mana. Honestly, I think Aragorn's scarier. If they play Fangorn, I guess if they play either, I can just Ent's Fury it. But Aragorn does a lot cooler, stronger things. So I'm just going to get rid of the Aragorn. Double block to kill our 3/3, and they've got one turn to draw into another forest. They draw the plains, so I guess we gambled correctly. Illegal attacks? What? I guess we gambled correctly there, because if I let them keep Aragorn, they could have played Aragorn. Wouldn't have mattered because we could Ent's Fury it, but we did get lucky on that land draw from our opponent. Alright, so they are a very bold deck. They probably do have mana fixing in there, they just didn't draw into any of it. But what we saw was just a ton of basic lands and 4 colors of cards. They're playing 4 colors of cards and cards that require like triple green, like 3 mana of 1 color, like the Fangorn. So I think Torment of Golem is going to be really good in this matchup. They've got some 1 toughness cards like Flamesmith. I think that was the only 1 toughness card we saw. Yeah, Watchdogs is also 2 toughness. Don't think I'm siding in the -1/-1 to everybody, the Black Breath or anything. I think I might just be running it back. Could be perfectly happy with that. Yeah, I think I'm just going to run it back here. This is definitely slow, but I'll keep it. We've got to smite the Deathless if they play anything super powerful early. Got a lot of high mana cost stuff. I should probably land cycle one of these. I actually prefer casting Generosent later than Oliphant, so I think I cycle the Oliphant. Although another green source is more important, generally. Yeah, I guess I'll cycle the Ent for another forest. There's the there and back again, which, thanks to the inherited envelope, I will be able to cast. We saw some pretty good instant sorceries from them. I am going to smite the Pelargir Survivor here to keep them from ramping up into their powerful instants and sorceries. And hopefully we just jam out there and back again early and try to use that as the win con here, because we can cast it next turn if I cast the envelope this turn. So that's the plan. So there's Erebor Flamesmith number 2, so every instant sorcery they cast pings us for 2. This is actually kind of a big deal, because they're going to attack us for 4 next turn if I don't play a creature. I might have to play Eomer instead, because they can't attack with these 2/1s against a 1/1 blocker of ours, so I'll have to play this first and actually be a little defensive. Ooh, drawn to an Aragorn. If they have the white source naturally, that's going to be an issue. Okay. Yeah, I think I need to just Eomer here, so I actually have a blocker up. They just... Okay. I don't know what I'm doing with land cyclers and mana rocks in my deck. Clearly that's not the play.
Okay, so I'm gonna need to just drop the giant spider now. I guess a trade for Aragorn's fine. Let's send that in. Wait. Oh, I should have played the spider first. That was bad. Oh, never mind. Okay, it does work how I thought. I was gonna say, I thought that if I'm tied for greatest power, I still get a 1/1. But it doesn't say that if you're tied, you still get a 1/1. If you control a creature with the greatest power. So if you just have one of the multiple creatures that has the largest power. Okay, so if you're tied, you do get the 1/1. Cool. Cool. Then that works fine. And then here's the spider to block Aragorn. Okay. I mean, play Dunlin Crebain, that's 2 more blockers, even if they're just chumps. I think it's reasonable to attack with the spider here. Because I'll have 4 blockers total with Crebain. Actually, I should just play Gothmog. Because then all my 1/1s have Death Touch, which is absurd. Alright, cool. They're at 2 life, playing against 5 creatures, and they just scoop them up, alright. Well, their mana worked out excellently for them that game. They did get punished pretty hard for a game 1. They had 2 uncastable cards. Their mana worked out there, but also we just drew really well. We drew like all our strongest cards. We drew our giant spider in each game. We drew Eomer this game as well. We got to go Eomer into the spider, into Gothmog, and still had a Smog lying in wait as a backup. Just some really good draws for the first match are going to find us that victory. And that's a pretty big one because if we lose one time, we're out. So even just winning one round feels nice. And the amount of gems you get does go up pretty dramatically. So started at 500 gems, we're 1 win deep. Now we're guaranteed 2,000 gems back out of the event. So that 1 win was worth 1,500 gems. See how far we can take it as we head into round 2. All right, here we are on the play for round 2. Got that classic Shire Terrace, my favorite non-basic land ever printed. Cycle away another land with our Haunt of the Dead Marshes. Play a Meriadoc turn 2. Alright, well. This hand is actually incredible because I don't have to sack the Shire Terrace. That's where it's at. We drew into the mountain naturally. Now we have an Ent's Fury. I suppose I should just play and crack the Shire Terrace here since I'm not doing anything with my mana turn 3 anyway. I guess I could eat the food token, but that is not necessary at this point in the game. So let's crack the Shire Terrace for another mountain because we do have a double red card in the deck, but we don't have any double black. And we already have 2 green sources for any double green cards. So let's grab another mountain. Draw into a Pathfinder. That's a solid one, but I'm just going to play Oath of the Grey Host, get our flying spirits onto the board as quickly as possible. Ooh, they got a combat trick here. Maybe just a chump. That'd be nice. No, they do a Bitter Downfall is what they're going to use. That's actually not bad for me. We got a pretty great removal spell out of their hand there that they could use to kill any creature. Got them to spend it on just our 2/2. There's a Bag End Porter. I do get a treasure token from Oath of the Grey Host, which is big here. That gives me the mana to play the Porter and kill Faramir immediately, which I think is worth it, because this can draw them extra cards, make them some extra 1/1 tokens. Yeah, let's just kill Faramir. This will put a counter on the Bag End Porter permanently as well, which is nice. Alright, we haven't seen a lot of cards from them yet, but the 3 they've cast are all pretty high quality cards. There's Claim the Precious, another excellent card. Their deck is looking very, very strong. And just their sealed pool in general. If they have a Black Breath in their sealed pool, this is going to be a really hard matchup. Especially if they main decked it. Because if we get Black Breath here, we're just going to lose this game, like on the spot. Alright, I gotta play land for turn here in case I top deck another land, because then I'll have the mana to activate Woe's Pathfinder's +3/+3 and trample ability next turn. Stalwarts of Osgiliath, not bad at all. That'll be a level 2 Ring Bearer. So if they attack with it, it'll get counters, but if they attack with it, they will not have good blocks. I'm gonna double check if I have anything to use my food tokens on other than healing. But I'm pretty sure the only thing I can spend my food on is life gain in this deck. Yep, that's the only thing I can spend my food on, so I should get that mana investment out of the way. Gain some life. Top deck Lobelia Sackville Baggins, which is just going to be a menace dork overall. We don't have the mana to use Pathfinder, so we just attack in the sky. I guess I could have chump attacked with the Haunt of the Dead Marshes just to get it in the graveyard, because then I could play Lobelia, and I'd have a legend on board, so I could reanimate the Haunt to scry one. That might have been worth it, actually. But I guess now I have a good chump block for the Stalwarts that I wouldn't have had otherwise. In case they have some kind of token production that puts them in a position where they're okay to attack with Stalwarts. Yeah, I think this is still fine. Destroy the Pathfinder. So that's all it does. Okay. Goodbye, Pathfinder. Exile target creature from an opponent's graveyard that was put there this turn. Okay, nothing in their graveyard was put there this turn, but I can still get a menace creature on the board, so I'm going to do that. Now we hit for 5. It's a gore bag. None of these creatures are goblins or orcs. I mean, at this point, they're under enough life total pressure. I am going to just send the Haunt in and reanimate it for scry. Alright, we should be able to kill them next turn if they don't have a board wipe or something. We've got 5 damage on board that they can't block. But if they play another creature, they can block Lobelia, and then it's just 3 that they can't block. But if they only have 2 blockers, they double block the Menace and take 2 from Gorebag, plus 1 from the Haunt. Yeah, they need to play multiple things to not die. Mirkwood Bats is a start that blocks one of the flyers. And Claim the Precious for Lobelia. Okay. Scry 1, find a Peregrine Took. I forgot about Peregrine. I guess we did have one way to use these food tokens for something other than life. Probably should have kept them. So what is this gonna... This is gonna blow up Lobelia. They have 2 blockers. They block a 1/1, they block a 2/2, they take 3 and go to 1 life. Then I'll still have 2 flyers and a 1/1 Haunt on board. I feel like I scry this away because I have cards that would just like immediately kill them potentially. If I didn't eat my food, I could have just kept that and spent it to draw a card here, which would have been great. Okay. I think we put them to 1. With 2 flyers on board. Their sealed pool is actually kind of insane. Double Claim the Precious. And Bitter Downfall. Alright, they're digging. Get the counter on Stalwarts of Osgiliath. Scoop them up. Okay. I'm going to put Nasty End into our deck. Because they have incredible removal. They have 2 Claim the Precious. They have Bitter Downfall. So that's 3 just targeted removal spells that are all fantastic. There's also Isildur's Fateful Strike, which is pretty good. You have to have a legend on board for this one, but that is really explosive if they cast it early when we have more than 4 cards in our hand. So if they get a good curve there, that's insane. They've got Mordor Muster, Faramir. There's really not a bad card in their deck. Like, their worst card is Mirkwood Bats, and they've got some synergies for it, so it's not bad at all. Pretty nice stuff for sure. What do we have that is particularly bad against them? Peregrine took just because I'm a doofus. Didn't play out very well there. I guess Gorbag's just a 2-mana 2/2. It is a legend for the Haunt of the Dead Marshes, which is potentially important. I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable to just drop Gorbag and put in Nasty End or something like that. Because I do think Nasty End looks really good here. And to be honest, I thought we had it main decked, but obviously that is not the case. Cut a Gorbag or cut a Peregrine. Ents Fury even that good here? I feel like it is. Kill Mirkwood Bats with it without too much work. Yeah, I'll cut the Gorbag, run the Nasty End. We'll do that. Head into game 2. Well, we gotta find another forest, but the hand could be pretty good. Drawn to an Aomer, that's awkward. So scry one with the Haunt, find Lobelia. I need lands bad. Lobelia could help with mana if we kill an opposing creature, but this hand's not super good at that. Okay, Shire Terrace actually putting in work here, I think, because we can crack it for a green and then go Forest Legolas next turn. And I can still have Nasty End up. Actually a good Shire Terrace draw here. Then we can use Oath of the Grey Host's treasure token to cast Aomer. Okay, so that's not going to attack or anything, so we just grab the forest. Find an Oliphant to get a mountain later. Pretty good. Just drop Legolas and pass. Would love to naturally draw land here, so maybe it would have been worth just not even casting Legolas, because we just have multiple really powerful 4-mana cards to play around with. What do they want to Bitter Downfall Legolas? We haven't seen any combat tricks from them yet. I feel like this is probably just like instant speed removal they could use to kill both creatures if I double block. Ooh, it was a bait. So maybe we could have just gotten the kill there. Okay. Did not naturally hit land force. We can't play Gothmog. Can't play Oath of the Grey Host. Kind of a bummer. So we Oliphant now. I think I don't hold up Nasty End. I think I just play a Golem because Golem's a really good blocker here. We've got the Golem plus Haunt of the Dead Marshes thing that could get started. Be pretty insane. I'm gonna get greedy here. We'll see what their tricks are. No tricks. Maybe just to claim the precious post-combat. They just want to wipe the whole board. Samwise pick up one of those cards. Okay, that's still fine for us. They get to pick up an Uruk-hai Berserker, though, and speedrun that ring to level 4, which is pretty annoying. Their card quality is through the roof. Alright, we've got to Smite the Deathless. It's pretty big, because we can smite one creature and have Legolas kill another. When we cast a spell that targets a creature you don't control. Yep. So we smite one of their creatures and Legolas kills Samwise. Probably wait till they cast Uruk-hai Berserker or something. So we're just holding up Smite the Deathless, Nasty End. Oh no, this is gonna be so good. Okay, Ring tempts them. Put it on the 1/1. Think I let them keep Samwise then? now we kill Stalwarts and the 1/1. And then whenever they make Samwise the Ring Bearer, we could just block Samwise and trade. Entish Restoration. Good card. Good card. Should just play Gothmog here and have a Death Toucher to block. So play Oath of the Grey Host. Soon get some spirits to get blocking. I'm gonna get a little greedy here. I don't have a lot of cards that can target my opponent's stuff, but if I draw another Smite the Deathless, I'd be pretty happy to still have a Legolas on board, so I'm gonna play in a way that can assure Legolas is still around. Okay, well, really happy to have played Gothmog, because now I can still block and kill Samwise, which I could not have done otherwise. Because Legolas would not do it. Yeah, their deck feels like just one of the best black-white ring tempt draft decks that I've drafted in the format. Like, it is just very, very, very good black and white cards. Tons of removal, tons of card draw, and tons of the ring tempts you. Just really where you want to be. Wow, their hand is incredible if they're discarding Bitter Downfall. Oh, that's such a cool card. I need a treasure token for it, though. Or I need to Entish Restoration. Let's play the Oath and get that treasure set up. Gonna have 3 1/1 flyers. Not super soon, but soon-ish. And they'll all be Death Touchers if I keep Gothmog around. Oh god, Landroval. I kind of wish I went for the trade. It's 2 flying attackers now. They are at 15. Could race a bit here and just drop Aomer. I don't think this is going to go super well, but let's see. Take 9 damage next turn. Down to 7, but we have a food token. There's a Golem, which is a 5/2 with the Flowering of the White Tree. Isildur's Fateful Strike. Yep, there goes our Aomer. I'm just getting Sealed Pool Envy all match. Only attack with 1 creature. Safe attack. I'm very happy with that. That can definitely help me get the time to eat this food and stuff. Spend 2 mana to eat the food, so we just hold up Entish Restoration mana to get another mountain. So get another mountain, eat a food. We also have a nasty end up if anything happens that we could nasty end. I think that's fine. We could also just get back a Haunt of the Dead Marshes, which could be better than getting a mountain. Could send in the 1/1 Death Toucher. I definitely can't send in Gothmog, but I could send in the 1/1 Death Toucher. I don't think I should send in Legolas, though. It's good to have a flying blocker this turn, even if it is just a chump. Send in for 10 damage. I think I should just chump with Legolas, because I can chump and draw 3 here, instead of Entish Restorationing. Ents Fury with Death Touchers. They've got Ward 1, but that's still good. Gothmog of their own. That's kind of a big deal with a freaking Anthem effect on board. Now their board state is massive. Kind of think I need to swamp cycle the troll so I can cast 3 things next turn. No, I need another green source to do that. Another black source doesn't actually help me cast 3 things. It's like next turn we're going to play like Meriadoc, Brandybuck, and an Ents Fury, which costs all 5 of our mana because we need 1 mana for the ward. Yeah, I don't actually think swamp cycling the troll helps me because I need triple green or double red to do more things. Okay, Torment of Golem does flat nothing. These 3 1/1 flyers are a really big deal. They are going to run me out of Death Touchers, because I think I am spending 1 on Land Roval just to feel extra safe. Okay. Pathfinder for extra mana in the future. Ents Fury Land Roval. Pass. Pretty far ahead in cards, but I need them to draw blank. Like last game, it seemed like they had at least like 4 removal spells in their deck. They've worked through 2 of them, but they've got at least 2 left, probably more. They are just like 100% playing off the top, which is nice. They can keep moving ring bearers around with Golem, but I can block their ring bearers with a 1/1 death touch. They get their draw discard, which is good. Mirkwood Bats. An issue has arrived. Speaking of issues, though, a Troll of Khazad-dûm kills them in 2 swings and they have to lose like 3 creatures. I guess it only has 6 power, so it only kills 2 of their things, but that's still pretty good. I guess they double block with 2 4s and or they triple block with 2 4s and a 3 in terms of toughness. I feel like it's still Troll of Khazad-dûm as the play. Generous Ents is so big. I don't have any combat tricks here, so if I attack with Troll and they block with all 3, I just get to trade the Troll into Mirkwood Bats, I guess. I kind of like Torment of Golem and Brandybuck here. Their last card's probably just a land, in which case Generous Ent is probably better. I don't know, we still get to load up blockers here if we do this. We get to load up blockers and we can kill their 1 flyer on the attack. I guess especially if I torment here in case it's a combat trick, sure. Okay, it's just a land. But I think this is still fine. Trade the Troll into the Mirkwood Bats. So they don't have a flyer. Play Meriadoc, or I could Entish Restoration. But I'll play the Meriadoc, get a nice wide board state. Slowly but surely use our card advantage to get there. Claim the Precious is too late to kill us, but it does matter quite a bit because now we have to double block their Ring Bearer with Meriadoc and our 2/2 army. But that's fine. That's removal spell 3 of 4 that we know of. Sending both is bold. But I guess we don't crack back that hard. Oh, that only has 3 toughness. What am I doing? If they get a flying ring bearer, that's going to kill the heck out of me. But I do have a reach creature if it's a flying not ring bearer. Okay, pass turn. Think I attack with Meridoc, get my food token, play a Generosent. And I've got the mana up to eat a food. Even if they kill both my blockers or kill one and make Gothmog Ringbearer. Well, no, if they can kill... Ooh. If they draw another Claim the Precious, I think we actually die. Or no, not quite. Not quite, because they could blow up Pathfinder and make Gothmog the Ringbearer, but then I can still block. This is a 5-7 against a 5-4. Or I guess they'd kill this and make Pathfinder block. But yeah, we could have the block. We couldn't just die this turn to claim the Precious. And Generosent means I have the blocks for Mirkwood Bats. But I don't have attacks. Unless I dump all my mana into Pathfinder. Probably fine to do, though. I mean, I could attack with Generosent. And if they try to double block kill, I +3/+3 and just win. And if they don't block, I kill them in 2 turns with it. I think we are attacking with Generosent. Because it kills them in 2 hits. Their batch just hits me for 3 right now. Even if it becomes the Ring Bearer, it hits me for 6, which isn't lethal either. All right, got them pretty good there. I don't think they realized the Pathfinder +3/+3 ability. They're down to 10, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, 10 if I use Pathfinder again. All right, pretty happy with the results of that round. I think deck-wise, our opponent built a much better deck. They had some really, really good cards in there, some great synergies. Great deck building going with all that ring tempt value. They had graveyard recursion, sick removal spells, card draw. But we got pretty lucky here. Our mana all worked out nice and well. Grind out some long games here. Hit just a bunch of powerful cards in different colors and grind out that game. It's going to be 2-0 in round 2. Winning over, in my opinion, a superior deck for sure. And that puts us up to 4,500 gems as the prize. We're going to be leaving this event with more gems than we entered, no matter what. So we cannot be unhappy about that, but I'm still going to play it out, do the best I can towards that 4 wins for potential qualifier weekend entry. So we'll see if we can't keep it going as we head into round 3. Here we are starting off round 3 with an unfortunately unkeepable hand. We only have 1 land in here and no land cyclers. We got to mulligan that, especially because we have all 3 colors of spells as well, so just a green source is super rough. Hand number 2 is more keepable with an Oliphant, meaning that it is a 2-lander, but we have multiple black cards we won't be able to cast because we can't get a black source until we cast Entish Restoration. And we can't even cast Entish Restoration unless I top deck another land. We are on the draw here at least, and I just need to draw 1 land to get going. 5-card hands are pretty rough on average. Is it worth the risk here? Really try to draw 1 land in our first 3 turns? I'm gonna get a little greedy and go for it. I really do not like going down to 5-card hands. And again, 1 land and we're sold. And we have hit the land. We draw a Troll of Cause of Doom, and that is the black source immediately, which is fantastic. Now we're playing with fire. So we've got 3 lands, which means we can get to Enchantress Restoration. We can also play Haunt of the Dead Marshes next turn to have something on board. Playing against another black deck, we've drawn another land, so we're going to have like 5 lands, because Oliphant plus Restoration are lands as well. I should have Oliphanted first. Oops. Okay. Oliphant after the Scry is going to work out fine. Because I don't really mind if a swamp is on top or bottom, since we have Restoration plus Oliphant. So basically the top card of our library is just going to be random either way, and I'm cool with it. Natural 3 color from our opponent, Swamp, Plains, Mountain for their first 3 plays, and Rohirrim Lancer, turn 3. 1/1 Menace, the ring tempts them when it dies, so that can get some damage in pretty easily with its Menace, as well as giving them a Ring Bearer to get damage in pretty easily. Play Meriadoc. I think I'd rather just Restoration though. I'll send in the Haunt. I am willing to trade it into the Lancer on attacks, and I'm not going to have 2 creatures to block it. And it just trades. I am very okay with that. They might be doing that because they have something that the ring tempts them when it enters the battlefield, so they want it to just hit the board as level 2 Ring Bearer, which can be good for them. Okay, I'm going to play the Mountain. And then I'm going to crack a Forest for a Forest and a Mountain, because we have double green cards. Ooh, wow. That's brutal. Yeah, having the Samwise for the Lancer is pretty incredible here, because now they have a level 2 Ring Bearer attacking next turn, and they can recast a Lancer. Yeah, Samwise is a pretty good card. And Uruk-hai Berserker, Jesus. Speaking of card quality, I feel like I'm playing against the same opponent, but this time they've got some mountains too. Yeah, that is a lot of ring tempting. That is going to set them up to draw a lot better than us throughout the game, since they'll be drawing and discarding every turn, and they are incredibly close to dealing an extra 3 damage to us every turn with level 4 of the ring. Gothmog is going to be a very big deal next turn. Because it'll be 2 blockers, one of which is a Death Toucher that's really good at blocking Ring Bearers. And then we can just go for our Giant Spider the turn after this, but Spider is not going to help block Ring Bearers at all, because it's got massive power. Dunlin Crebain hitting the board now. Premium commons here. We take the 3 here so we can still clear out a Ring Bearer with our army. Drop our Spider and hope they don't realize it doesn't have reach, I guess. They play another card that gives them a Ring Bearer. We're pretty dead, because they're going to have a Dunlin Crebain hitting for 4 damage a turn in the sky and drawing them and discarding a card every turn. There's a Wizard's Rockets for mana fixing. Now that I've drawn into a Mordor Muster, I could definitely just trade off our Death Touching army for the Berserker if they send it in again. Send in the Lancer, because if we kill the Lancer, they can make Crebain a Ring Bearer, and we're going to lose real fast if that happens. So we have to just take this damage here. Goblin Fire Leaper. Yikes, that is a lot of damage we cannot stop. Could have put a stop during the upkeep to scry with Haunt of the Dead Marshes before we drew a card here. But we can just do that during their end step as well, to set up for our next draw, rather rather than setting up for this draw. I don't actually think this giant spider's a particularly great blocker. I'll just send it in. Get the damage in. Block with the Fire Leaper, kill our Death Touch is the plan. Cool. I will get a food token Fire Leaper. And I guess now I'll play Mortar Muster instead. Hit a Smite the Deathless, very big deal. Now I can afford to reanimate the Haunt and play the Smite, or play a Meriadoc and play the Smite. It does feel like I need some blockers instantly here, so I'm going to play Meriadoc and hold up for the Smite, and I will put a stop on my upkeep for reanimating the Haunt, because I've got quite a bit of mana now, so I can cast most of what I'd hit after my Haunt Scry next turn. I could keep the food Fire Leaper here, just in case we draw, oh my god, just in case we draw Peregrine. But I think I'm under enough pressure here that I'm good to just eat food for life. Okay, yeah, that's really bad. If we kill any of their legendaries, they get another combat step and untap everything. So we don't want to kill any of their legendaries. Okay. Probably should have smited the Samwise before it attacked, so that they don't get the draw a card, discard a card here. They're at 20 life. Is there any way we crack back for lethal? No, we have 14 damage on board. Okay. Death Touch the Aomer then. 2-2 the 3-2 and 3-3 the 2-2. Exile Samwise. Could also let Samwise stay and save this for the next time they might get another Ring Bearer. Because again, if they end up putting it on Corbane, that's like insta-dead. This is 4 damage if I let it all through. I think I'm gonna smite Samwise. I don't know if that's correct. I'm just gonna do it. They're just down to 2 1/1s. I'll have 4 mana after I scry one. I've got some pretty powerful 5-6 mana cards. I'm gonna draw blind. Okay, Gorebag. Okay, that works out fine because I think I would have kept Gorebag on top here. Okay, if the ring tempts them again, we're gonna lose. If the ring doesn't tempt them again, we're probably gonna win. That's kind of just how it's gonna play out. I think that's just our life now. Either of these is a level 4 Ring Bearer. It's just a ton of damage and it's almost impossible to block. Oh, removal for the giant spider? No. Yeah. Okay. The ring hasn't tempted them, so the game's actually still pretty even. But it's definitely no longer in our favor. It's like even here, I'd say, generally. Maybe a little in our favor, especially after that. Okay, now it's in our favor. For sure. Got enough mana to eat this after I play this. Alright, Lancer can't block as long as I control this. We get a Ring Bearer. I don't think I care that much right now, because they just have 1/1s that could block anyway. I'll put it on Gorebag, I don't know. Okay, and I can't block the flyer. Might as well attack with everybody. Because I'm not going to want to block the Lancer and I can't block the flyer. This can't, just straight up can't block, right? Straight up can't block, so we can send it, and we're fine. Cool. They're down to 3. Pass the turn. We're basically at 13 if we need to be. They drop a land, 1 card in hand. Theoden, double strike is a thing. It's definitely nowhere near lethal, but it's a thing. Get a double strike attack with Lancer since that can't block anyway. They have two blockers. They block the 3-3 with Theoden. Actually, probably block the 3-3 with Kerbane, the 2-2 with Theoden, and take one. That's pretty good. I'm going to Shire Terrace here, so I'm less likely to draw another land. Get a black source, I guess. Drawn to Inherited Envelope. No mountains left. It's cool. It's all good. I could draw a card, discard a card. I guess more importantly, I can move the ring over since the ring doesn't really do anything on Gorbag. Because Theoden can just block and kill Gorbag. So I move the ring to the Haunt. And then it just trades into Kerbane, which is fine. A lot of cards they could top deck that might just kill us. With a Theoden on the board, there's just 2 mana, make 2 1/1s with haste. Just go wild with it. There'd be 2 of their creatures getting double strike off Theoden triggers. Okay, they are going to chump the 3 with the Kerbane, so we get our 1 Haunt damage in. Next turn, we're getting a Smog on board, and they have no flyers. So unless they kill us this turn, I think we pulled this victory straight out of just the inner recesses of our butt. And it looks like we did. All right, once again, not super sure about this matchup. They have some high card quality, but does involve some mana fixing like Wizard's Rockets to get there. But yeah, Samwise, Lancer, Uruk-hai Berserker can do some really good ring speedrunning things. Eomer was pretty big and spooky. Nice to pull out that victory, but we need to worry about a lot of ring bearer shenanigans again, mostly. Also humans, we could bring in our -1/-1 to everybody in this matchup. It works against Fire Leaper, Dunlin Kerbane, Rohirrim Lancer, and if they have any Rally at the Hornburgs to work with Theoden, it works with that as well. Or works against that as well. So I actually think Black Breath is a reasonable addition here. We didn't see a lot of removal from them, so I'm actually not that pumped about the nasty end. Not sure what we're dropping. Maybe Ent's Fury, because we've got double smite fitting that role pretty well. And not requiring us to have a creature on board. We could cut the Gorbag just because it's not super synergistic. Cut Peregrine because it's a little slow. Yeah, I mean, I think these are the options. I think I'd rather have a Black Breath than an Ent's Fury in this matchup, so I'll go for that. I think that seems fine. Run it like that, see how things go in game 2. Here we are for game 2 of round number 3 with a pretty good opening hand. Theron back again is definitely awkward with no red sources in the hand, but we get to roll out Meriadoc into Legolas, and we have the big spider for later, so we can kind of pretend we mulligan to 6. Theron back again is just the card we put on the bottom of our library. And that's how we can justify the keep pretty easily, because if you imagine, if we mulligan to 6 and we see this hand, are we going to keep it? We're going to slam keep it every time and just get rid of there and back again. So things could be much worse if we mulligan. We should just keep the solid hand here, even if it isn't great. We have drawn into Forest. Forest is our first 2 draws, which is pretty awkward. Torment of Golem is a good draw for sure. Torment of Golem gives us something to do next turn, which should be pretty good. There's the Claim the Precious for Legolas. That is the first removal spell we've seen them cast, and now we know that card quality does not stop with the cards we saw game 1. They've also got Claim the Precious, which is a premium common. Alright, well, we've hit every single land we need for Shelob, but no red sources for there and back again, which is awkward. So now we're in a position where we've drawn 6 lands, but we still sort of want to draw more because we want to draw red sources. Not really where you want to be. Hey, it's their own there and back again. 2 Cavaliers and a Samwise. Alright, their hand is real good, but they also don't have a red source. Or sorry, they also don't have a white source. So we'll get rid of the bomb red card and hope they don't draw planes soon. And then they just don't do anything for a little while. Gives us the time to try to get there with the spider. Alright. Forest number 5 is incredibly redundant because we only need 6 lands for the big spider. And we really don't need more green sources. Cool. Trade in with the 2/2, so if they don't hit a white source, we can start attacking with Meriadoc and getting food tokens now. Well, they probably hit something castable, if they're thinking on it here. They are just going to poke us with the Grebane, play the Scarecrow, and the Scarecrow means everything in their hand is castable now. And they're going to cast an Eastmark Cavalier. So they did find that white source. Here's our first red source, the Shire Terrace. Could trade Meriadoc into Cavalier. Not a particularly big fan of that. This only kills goblins and orcs, right? Yeah, our spider's going to be good. We just play the spider and go for it with that card. There's the natural white source now. So they can cast both of their cards, a Samwise and an Eastmark Cavalier. Honestly, they should probably just cast a Samwise just to have a level 2 Ring Bearer. Because none of their creatures are that valuable to bring back from the grave anyway. So just get her level 2 Ring Bearer so they can draw a card, discard a card every turn now. Crebane's valuable to bring back from grave, but we have no way to kill the Crebane anyway. Yeah, I think the longer they hold on to the Samwise, the happier I am. Because that's just more turns where they're not looting, drawing a card, discarding a card every turn. Okay, I should crack the Shire Terrace and then play the Haunt. They only have 6 power total with Samwise, so I guess they're just getting a chump attack, or a chump block here over the draw discard. Yeah, that actually works fine for them. And then they'll have their level 2 Ring Bearer. Okay. Yeah, we let them do that. That makes sense. Alright, I didn't put 2 and 2 together there. This is actually probably better than drawing and discarding a card a turn earlier. They just get a free chump block with Samwise. I'm not sure what they're thinking so long on. I think it would be... At this point, since you've kept the Samwise, I think it'd be pretty bad to just not block. If they didn't have a Samwise in hand, I think it'd be perfectly reasonable to just let it through. But they've got the Samwise, they may as well. That level 2 Crebane Ring Bearer now. Cool. So now I grab my mountain. And then I scry one. Gothmog. Not going to be blocking Crebane at all, so they get to keep drawing a card, discarding a card every turn. I don't actually think Gothmog's that good. It's not going to help us attack any more than we already are. Gives us better blockers on the ground. I don't really need better blockers on the ground right now. I need another red source or something that hits them. I'm going to actually get rid of Gothmog. Black Breath would be exceptional here. Get this Crebane out of here. Because that's kind of like, even if it's only hitting me for 1 a turn, the fact that it's setting up their draws is really, really, really bad for us. Like I would, despite having this big 8/8 on board, I would consider our opponent in the lead right now because they have a Ring Bearer, letting them do things like discard 2/2s to draw 6/4s with Trample. Again, really, really hard to overstate the value of having a level 2 plus Ring Bearer in winning board stalls. There's an Entish Restoration. That does give us 3 lands. All the mana for there and back again. They still come to play tapped, though. That's kind of a bummer. Now they could trade into our Spider. I guess I have to just hold off on blocks now. That's a bit awkward. Oh, you know what? They did have the one pacifism that we saw. Okay. They have many more removal spells than we saw. So they have the pacifism we saw game 1. They also have Claim the Precious and Lash of the Balrog. It's pretty dang good here with the Oliphant on board. Probably just seals it, because that's going to be 8 trampling power. Right, 6 and then +2 and trample on something else here. Oh, I should have Restoration in response. That was loose. Could have gotten one more land. It's not really going to matter. It's going to make it so there's one less land in our deck to potentially top deck, but on average, the extra land's not going to matter that much. But it is definitely a worse play to not have gotten 3 lands instead of 2. It is strictly worse. Oh my god, now they get to draw discard a creature with a graveyard ability like Golem. Seems strong. Seems strong for sure. Yeah, we're just dead. Denethor too. Straight gas, because that's what having a level 2 ring bearer will do for you. One blocker is nowhere near enough here. 9 life off the food token. Yeah, that's not enough. 9 life off the food token. They attack with everything. Oliphant gives Denethor +2 trample. It's 10 trampling damage, so that alone kills me. That's not even mentioning the 1 damage from Kerbane, the 1 damage from the soldier, and the extra damage from sacking creatures. Alright, that was a rough one. And that's really how I expected last round to be going. It's just with so many consistent, valuable, cheap cards where the ring tempts them. They're just going to get that draw discard set up and win those long games pretty easily, setting up those card draws. But again, like I'm looking through my whole sealed pool here. We definitely could not build that kind of deck. We have 1 Samwise. That's pretty great. That's it, really, for ring tempts. 1 Stalwarts, 1 Birthday Escape. I don't think there's any crazy sideboarding I want to do here. Throwing a Nasty End. Now that we have seen they've got at least 3 removal spells, and Nasty End is really good against the pacifism. But it's Nasty End versus Black Breath. And I think Black Breath would have been pretty great at any point that game. Maybe I just want both of them in here. Anything that looked super bad in this matchup? Not really. Could drop the there and back again because of the awkward mana issues we had with it there for sure. Or just drop Gorbag again because it's just a 2 mana 2/2 with no text basically. I'm just going to drop Gorbag again. Game 3. Make it or break it game here. If we lose this game, we are out of the entire event. We can only lose 1 round. So hoping for the best, crossing our fingers for some great draws here. And we will definitely be on the play. Okay, this is already extremely awkward. Green is our most important color, and we have no green sources in this hand. If we don't hit a green source, we don't do anything until turn 5. But we have a very solid turn 5 play. Feel like this has to be a mulligan, but I don't. We can cast spells eventually, technically, with this hand. And if we draw perfectly, it'll be okay. If we draw perfectly, it's not even like a great hand. It's just, I have a 3 mana 2/3 and then a 5 mana 5/4 haste. Yeah, I should probably mulligan. If it was the kind of hand where if I drew perfectly, then the hand's great, it's probably a keep. But even if I draw perfectly and hit the forest here, it's like, okay, nothing turn 1, nothing turn 2, then I play a 2/3. It's like then maybe a 3 drop on turn 4 as well. I don't know. I'm going to go for the mulligan here. We got to draw real well for that to work well. And this is much better. We have all 3 colors. We've got a Haunt of the Dead Marshes to set up our first draw. We've got turn 1, turn 3, and turn 6 play. I think I'm going to actually get rid of a land here. Use Haunt and Oliphant for another land. Okay, it's not a land, so I'm gonna ditch it. Because I shoved a land on the bottom, I have to be pretty diligent about how I'm using the haunt here. Draw closer to a land, hopefully. Okay, that's also not a land. That's a bummer for sure. I could nasty end my haunt rather than using Oliphant. Draw 2 instead of just draw 1 mountain. Seems fine. Because we will have a legend out. We've got 2 different legends in the hand. So we'll have them later. They've got their 2/2. I think at that point then I should just mountain cycle and guarantee I've got a 2/3 turn 3 to block that. They played like nothing here. Maybe I'd just nasty end. Lobelia Sackville Baggins. Haven't seen a lot of combat tricks from them. Let's just pass through here and try to get a free kill. I know I'm not going to get any treasure tokens by doing this, but I think it's probably best to just cash in a 2-for-1, get a free kill here. Well, that went about as badly as it could have. I mean, my alternate line plays badly too. I just play Peregrine token, get Theoden. Getting Theoden is just brutal here. Yeah, what a bummer. Probably am still taking the trade. Or just nasty on Trump. Draw. A nasty end. Hopefully find a smite or something. Praying over here. To find land for turn at least. Drop Peregrine. We're playing basically every removal spell in our sealed pool, so not much I can do against a resolved Theoden that I'm not already trying to do with the way I built this deck. Okay, that's not a human. Let's go. They don't play a human this turn, there's no damage to me. Alright, they didn't play a human this turn, and they played something that dies to Black Breath. We've got the mana for Shelob next turn. Could Black Breath the Fire Leaper and not do anything else with the rest of my mana? Rather flash in Lobelia. I think I would, just because I like getting greedy with that card and trying to kill more than one thing. Just a Fire Leaper. Could trade here if they dump a mana into it, and then I can exile it from grave, get a couple treasures. Kind of makes them like skip a turn, sorta. Not really, because they only have to spend 2 mana on this, then they still have 3 mana to play something else. I still want to just Black Breath it, I'm just going to take it. We're just going to flash this in as a 2/3 in the end step, which is a little awkward. Okay, take 2. Oh, I guess I can use Haunt instead. Keep that flash. Okay, Crebain means we have 2 things to kill with the Black Breath now. If I Haunt now, I could Black Breath plus Lobelia next turn and get 3 treasures when I do that. It's kind of cool, kind of spicy. Yep, and the Fire Leaper dies with 0 power, so it doesn't even kill anything. And then Peregrine triggers, and we get a food token alongside our treasures. I don't have a giant spider yet, but I actually think that all sounds pretty sweet. Throw that to the bottom. Doesn't really matter what our ring bearer is at level 1. Because they have plenty of, well, I mean, they have a 0/0. Mainly. Or a 0/3. 0/0 would just be dead. But a 0/3 can just block our 1/1 or our 2/3. Oh, wait, what is it? Oh, it's based on the power, not the mana value. Oh. Well, that's not as good as I thought, but at least we got a treasure and a food. Okay. Might have still just been better to play the spider then, but that worked fine. Well, there's a golem with some expendable stuff. They've got an army and such. Ooh, Pathfinder with the 7 mana. Gonna be pretty good next turn. I cracked the treasure for it. So we've got the +3/+3 trample set up. There and back again. Oh, shiznit. They get a 6/6 flying haste, and I die real quick. I don't think it matters that much what they choose on the first ability. Probably one of our 2/3s is their best choice. Alright, Peregrine Took can't block until they get a Smog. Yeah, I feel like I'm just going to get exploded by there and back again here. They want to set up a level 2 Ring Bearer to draw a card, discard a card every turn. Alright, you got it. I'm going to hold up the mana for Pathfinder here, rather than scry during the upkeep. I don't think I'll be using Pathfinder, but I could. Actually, Death Touch Trample's really big. Maybe I do just try to use Pathfinder 3 turns in a row to kill them. Oath of the Grey Host. We both get a food token. With Peregrine, that means I get 2. Then I get a treasure, which means I get a treasure and a food next turn. And the food that we give them doesn't matter because we also make them lose 3 life, so they stay at the same life total functionally. That's actually a good draw, and I've got the mana to do that and reanimate the Haunt, so that's probably what we're playing here. As tempting as it is to trample over with the spider. That also gives me 3 1/1 trumps for Smog. Does Smog have trample? Smog doesn't have trample, so 3 1/1 trumps for Smog is big. Yeah, I'm going to play Oath of the Grey Host. And I'm going to start trampling next turn, I think. It's only work once per turn. No, this works as many times as possible. Okay, cool. Good. So is it one of those boring cards that only triggers once per turn? It is not. I have 5 food tokens, so I can also just eat a bunch of food to not die to Smog. That requires some mana, though, and I want to be spending all my mana on giving our gigantic Death Toucher Death Touch and Trample. Sacrifice Theoden to return Golem. Play Golem. Play another Theoden. Okay. You got me. Okay, I'll trade Lobelli into that. Get rid of their Ring Bearer. They don't draw and discard next turn. Scry 1. That's a level 2 Ring Bearer with Inherited Envelope, but then I don't have the mana to +3/+3 trample next turn because I'm spending 3 on Envelope. I think I'm getting aggro here, and I'm just dumping all my mana into Pathfinder where I just want to draw lands. So I can do that and eat food. Troll of Khazad-dûm. Turn that into a land. I could also just cast it. Really tempting. Really, really tempting. Probably do just cast that. I don't want to draw cards that I want to cast right now. I trample for 10 if I use this right now. They go to 6, they can eat a food to go to 9. God. I do that so badly. But I think I just play a troll because it needs a triple block, which means attacking with the spider and the troll each turn is going to be absolutely insane. When I sack this food, the ring tempts me. That's pretty good. So we'll sack that food first, I guess. Okay, so here's Smog. Hello. They could sack Smog to Golem if they just want 14 treasure tokens. Guess it depends on what's in their hand. Oh my god, if they can Theoden double strike Smog, that's going to be a really big deal. 12 damage. I have to just spend all my mana on eating food next turn to not die to 12 damage twice in a row. If I eat food now, I'm at 21. I take 12, I'm at 9. Then I need to eat at least 2 food tokens to survive another 12. At least Peregrine can block now. That's something. Smog's coming in. The Orc's coming in. I should probably trade into the Orc with Peregrine. Slows down my food production, but stops their draw discard. Gets them down one more creature here. Have enough food to draw a card here off Peregrine? I think I do. And then I still have enough food to eat. Let's draw a card, discard a card off Shelob attacks. Oh my god. Well, it's too late to stop Peregrine from dying, I guess, but I can kill Theoden now. Probably should have sacked before I declared blocks here, just in case I drew exactly Smite. They're going to Hobbit Sting the Pathfinder, which keeps me off of the mana from killing Theoden. 8 plus 6. Like 14 damage. 15. I don't lethal them next turn, but I get pretty close killing, smiting Theoden here. What is their last card? Is it +12/+12 somehow? No, I'm just down to 12. They could sack Smog just so they have a chump blocker for the spider. And all the treasure in the world. Yeah. Okay. Play Golem. We've got a chumper for our spider. But we've got 1,000,000 food. And they've just got 1 card in hand now. Oh snap, baby. Gothmog's 2 blockers. Draw a card, discard a card. There's our there and back again. I honestly think I'd rather have Gothmog for immediate creatures. Block with Golem. Their ring is level 4 if they get another ring bearer. And we get that Golem token again, so our ring's level 3 when we eat that food. I'm just at the all-you-can-eat buffet, devouring scarecrows and golems. It's messed up. Haunt the Dead Marshes, scry 1 card to the bottom. They've got 14 treasures, they might as well reanimate Golem and the Haunt. So there's Golem. And there's the Haunt. Haunt's tapped though, so they're still done on board. We do 14 damage on this board. Okay, let's eat a food. Keep a ring-bearing spider, I suppose. Guess I keep the Interest Restoration since it's 3 lands instead of 1 land. Chump there. Take a lethal, alright. Another very hard fought, very long round there. Super close overall. But, yeah. I think really good deck from our opponent. Pretty well played there. But we just draw our great stuff again. Find a victory in round 3. Let's go. We are now 3-0 in this event. Quite far ahead on gyms, regardless of what happens here. But next round is the big one, the final battle. The one that will decide whether or not we will be playing the qualifier weekend tomorrow or not. So 3-1 at worst. Great spot to be. Tons of gems out of this. But fingers crossed here. See if we can't get 4 wins in a row. Get into that qualifier weekend. Here we are now for round 4, the final boss to win or lose the final round of Magic for today. This is going to be the deciding match to see if we will be in the qualifier weekend tomorrow or not. And this hand's a little awkward, but I am still going to keep it here. We've got Envelope into Bag End Porter, turn 3, turn 4. Not doing a lot early, so if our opponent has a really aggressive sealed pool, that is where we're going to stumble pretty far. So Gorbag is going to get things started, not the end of the world for us. We draw into a Legolas, which is very good with Ent's Fury. Ent's Fury targets both Legolas and an opposing creature, so if they don't immediately kill Legolas, Ent's Fury gets to be 2 removal spells in 1. They are red, black, and white, some very strong colors. I could go Envelope Haunt, and that puts me in a position where I can play Legolas and Ent's Fury in 1 turn, which is kind of valuable. That doesn't give them an opportunity to play any sorcery speed removal on Legolas, so I'm going to do that, even though it means I'll be getting hit here, where I might not otherwise. Oliphant's a solid draw. We've got the red source for it with Envelope, and we'll have enough mana to play it after next turn. So there's Bill the Pony. Bill I cannot kill with Ent's Fury, I'm pretty sure. But I can kill everything else with Legolas. So Legolas plus Ent's Fury means Legolas gets a +1/+1 counter, shoots something for 2. And Ent's Fury means +1/+1 until end of turn, so 3 power. Yeah, it's not going to be enough to kill Bill. But I do think I just go for it for that immediate, just pretty large amount of value. And then we'll have a 2/5 blocker for Bill, and they can't really get in. So Ent's Fury the Gorbag, and Legolas snipe the Haunt. Just drop an Oliphant next turn and start slamming in with some beef. I guess Bill can just trade into the Oliphant, which is not spectacular. Alright, I've got nothing else to use Legolas with right now. If they want to eat a food and spend a combat trick to kill Legolas, they can go for it. They've eaten a food. Gonna be post-combat Black Breath. Main deck Black Breath in best 2 of 3. Alright, that will get us. Here's the Oliphant. What is not very chill for us is that they still have a food token, so that Bill can trade into the Oliphant. And they're just going to pass. They're just going to go for that block here. Well, Lobelia is not going to give me very much treasure, because going to exile a 1-power creature from their grave. Probably still play a land so I can play both of these, and we just play the Bag End Porter. Wait to attack with the Oliphant until I'm also giving the Porter trample at least, I think. But otherwise, just trading Oliphant for Bill is not that exciting. So they reanimate their Haunt, set up their next draw with the Scry one. Uruk-hai Berserker, phenomenal card. Getting very sad and tired of seeing Berserkers on the other side of the board. I would have loved to open one. So they've got a level 2 Ring Bearer, and we have seen how that goes in the past many times. They are significantly more likely to draw gas, thanks to that Ring Bearer. Speaking of drawing gas, sometimes you do just top deck gas. And Torment of Golem certainly classifies. Wow, okay. So we need them to not hit a green source. I think we have to just get rid of Aomer because we know they can cast it. And we'd have to trade on blocks. If they play the big spider, we'd have to block with 2 things, but until they hit a green source, it's not going to matter. They are digging for the green source with the Haunt. Is a big deal. Maybe I have to get rid of the spider? That feels so rough, though. You know, I can block the spider every turn with a Haunt of the Dead Marshes. I can't really do that with Aomer. Plus Aomer is immediately castable. I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay. Trade Oliphant into Bill and hit for 6, 7. Yeah, we know they've got nothing in hand right now. I think the onboard trade is fine with us at this point. Don't think it's really fine if they kill Lobelia, but if we get the Oliphant trade in, then Lobelia is no longer super blockable. Okay, so Bill's going to trade. We're going to hit for 7. They're not going to have a food token anymore. All they've got is a Haunt of the Dead Marshes to dig. And an Uruk-hai Berserker to trade on blocks. They're down to 11 as well, since we did trample over there. Okay, draw a card, discard a card, as you do. Discard an Errand Rider of Gondor. Maybe it's just Forest and the Spider now in hand. No, it's Shadowfax, but they would rather discard Errand Rider than the Spider. Alright. Fair enough. Shadowfax is definitely a good draw, because now they can double block our 5/5 attacker. This would give me a red source if I draw into our double red card, but I think I still scry it away, because that's 1 card in our entire deck that would want the Shire Terrace. Everything else just doesn't. So have our Haunt to block their Haunt. Send in with Bag End Porter, they have to double block. We trade it into Shadowfax. Then I can start attacking with my 2/3 and 2/2 from that point on. Yep. Top deck war. I have a slight lead on board. They have a slight lead in card draw because of their Ring Bearer, but I can trade off into it here, and they no longer have a Ring Bearer, which is very, very important. They have discarded the Spider now, so 2 good cards in their hand, 2 non-land cards, I would imagine. Sam's Desperate Rescue would have been a really good draw here. That might be... Oh my god, yeah, that's actually insane, because now they have a level 3 Ring Bearer, and they get to just pick up whatever they want to cast next turn. And another Errand Rider of Gondor after discarding one. Yep, that's some quality right there. We are now infinitely far behind. Bane doesn't really change that. I guess we get to attack with a 4-4 while they're at 11. So I should probably keep the Kerbane, but they're just going to Aomer us. Things do not feel good over here. I might have to just scry into my own gigantic spider as our only real out. I guess 4-4 army is big enough to block trade into Aomer. Okay. Probably have to just play this and pass, because we know they've got an Aomer. There's Aomer. Okay, we've got some excellent blocks here at least. But they draw a card, discard a card again. Their deck is just a card advantage machine, handily winning this top deck war right now. How many red sources are left in my deck? I've hard cast an Oliphant. And I scryed a mountain to the bottom. Scryed a Shire Terrace to the bottom, so there's still 2 mountains in here. And a Woe's Pathfinder. And an Entish Restoration. 4 red sources in the top 23 cards. Like 1 out of 5-ish. Keep that to wait on a 1 out of 5. I don't think I do. I swear to God, I'm gonna scry it to the bottom and the next card is gonna be a red source. Or I'm gonna scry it to the top and we're never gonna draw a red source. Alright. Either choice could go pretty bad. I guess I'll just keep it. Samwise Gamgee, which means they get to reanimate the Haunts, which means they get a food, and once they get 3 foods, they pick up any historic card, which is 1,000,000 bomb rares. Well, not bomb rares, but bomb uncommons and rares. That's bad. It's very, very bad. And that's very, very good. Inherited envelope. They're at a level 4 ring bearer now. Luckily, we've got a solid blocker for whatever they put it onto. But I'm going to have to immediately trade. Yep, I'd rather trade here than let them keep drawing discarding every turn. Again. So if I attack, they're just going to block with Haunt, bring it back, scry 1, get another food, and get towards Samwise. Picking something up. Which I do not love. Kinda actually think I'm just not attacking then. And then I start attacking with the Troll of Khazad-dûm instead. Oh, they're going to eat the food. Oh my God, they're going to eat the food? Maybe we are attacking with the spider. 3, right? Yeah, sack 3 foods to return something. Land Roval off the top. That is devastating, because we do not have any flyers or reach cards in this deck, really. Kind of, again, just in this sealed pool in general, sort of, kind of thing. 13. About to take some big damage in the sky regardless. Probably do just send. Okay, obviously block with the Haunt, but they don't have the mana to reanimate it this turn, which is good. Oh, I get to scry 1 when they block. That's kind of cute. There's the mountain for there and back again. It's gonna be a little slow, but I'm gonna keep it. I can make their Haunt of the Dead Marshes unable to block, I guess, is what we're doing with Chapter 1. I'm glad they're just eating the food. Because it's turning into like every time they block with Haunt of the Dead Marshes, we're just gonna both gain 3. And scry 1, I guess. Instead of like stacking up to be able to bring back an Aomer or big spooky spider that I am terrible at pronouncing. Alright, massive bummer has arrived. There's the removal spell for the spider. Things are now really bad over here. Oh my god, you have to be absolutely kidding me. That is probably the most irritating card they could have played, because now our Saga does literally nothing. Okay. That's a way to lose a game of Magic. Yeah, I cannot do anything now. It's just the Westfold Rider says what's up. I guess they can't block my troll. But they've got food, they're not gonna die. I should have done this pre-con, but I forgot the ring tempts me. I could have at least drawn a card, discarded a card here. At least now the troll's legendary to reanimate the Haunt. Okay, so it would have done a tiny bit. It would have let me draw a card, discard a card. Whoa. Oh yeah, it gets flying, never mind. They've got enough mana to eat 2 food tokens and gain 6. Get a mountain. I gotta draw something good here. Because I can't get a food token unless I attack with a halfling. Alright, I would have drawn nothing anyway. So I guess if I played it out correctly, I would have had a Meriadoc on the board as well this turn, which wouldn't affect the outcome of this game at all. So it all depends on what this card is, this next card. So last turn I would have drawn into this Brandybuck, and then this turn I would have seen one more card outside of the forest. If we had had the ring tempt us a turn early. I don't think we would win though. Just get killed by Landroval now. Alright. Pretty big bummer of a way to end the game. It's kind of what we expected early there. It just took a really long time. They had some consistent, grindy ring bearer value. They've got multiple Errand Rider of Gondors also putting them up in card advantage. Like, their deck just accrues value like nobody's business. 2 Errand Rider of Gondor, plenty of ring tempt for draw discard every single turn. I think the only thing that really kept us in that game is that they're running a really bold mana base. So they didn't really get to play their big spider or anything like that. But yeah, this is another... There's just a masterclass in card advantage over there. They can dig through their library a whole lot. And another matchup where our kind of lack of removal is going to be a really big downside, so I'm happy to have Ent's Fury and double Smite the Deathless. I think I'll also throw in -1/-1 to everybody. There are plenty of cards they have that it wouldn't do anything to, but would kill Westfold Rider, Haunt. I guess it's not that good to kill Haunt. We've only seen 2 cards it actually kills and a token. So this actually might not be a Black Breath matchup. I mean, I think we just cross our fingers and hope for the best, really. Maybe could throw in a nasty end. They've got that land droval, that's a big deal. Could put the Galadrim Bow in, actually. Get rid of the there and back again, since they have main deck enchantment removal. They've got main deck artifact removal as well, but at least the turn I play the bow, they don't get to blow it up. So I'm going to get rid of there and back again for this bow, I think. Might not be worth it, because we only saw one main decked artifact enchantment removal spell. But, I mean, that's just devastating that we just know there's no way we're getting a Smog when they do have that card there. Yeah, that's just how I'm going to build it here. Starting off round 4 with a loss as we head into game 2. Get things going on the play. Not a very good hand, but I don't think it's a mulligan. We've got Restoration to have all 3 colors. Start playing things on turn 4. All right, turn 1 they're going to cycle their Generous Ent. We are the Forest Masters over here. We've drawn 4 forests before any other colors. There's a Peregrine, which I could play so that I roll cards out starting now. I guess I will do that. Based on the makeup of our hand, just playing Peregrine turn 3 and 2 Bag End Porter turn 4 is fine. If they don't blow up our Peregrine or a Bag End Porter, we'll be attacking with a 5/5 every turn. And then we'll have a 4/4 out when we cast the Restoration. So we'll get 3 lands off of it. Okay, they've got Claim the Precious. I think we are the only player today that has no Claim the Precious. I think every other opponent we've had has had Claim the Precious. Phenomenal, phenomenal removal spell. And our legendary's gone now, so Bag End Porter and Bill is just a flat trade. Restoration for 2 swamps and a mountain since we cut the double red card. Morgul Knife Wound on the Bag End Porter. Well, I guess it's pretty useless now. Costs us 2 life every turn as well. You just exile it. Drop our Generous Ent or our Troll of Khazad-dûm. Let's play the... I'm going to play the Generous Ent first, because I think the Troll's more important. So kind of maybe try to pull out removal with this. I guess I could have just Tormented them for a setup turn, make sure they don't have removal in hand. But if I get another land, I can play Torment plus Crebain in the same turn, which is pretty spicy. Cycle the Eagles. Oh god, they need a lot of mana for whatever they're doing. Don't appreciate that. Banish from Adoris. Okay, that's fine. They're down to 3 cards in hand, and now we can Torment to get ahead in card advantage. And we have the land to play Torment plus Crebain. Oh my god, Voracious Fellbeast, Golem's Bite, Samwise, those are all spectacular. We gotta get rid of the Fellbeast though, that thing's ridiculous. We sack a creature and they get a food. They have no historic cards in their grave for Samwise yet, but Bill the Pony will die eventually. Got the Golem's Bite to kill our army. Play the Kerbane and the army's too big. So the army trades into Bill instead. I guess they could Golem's Bite and sack a food with Bill. And then Bill doesn't die, but the army does. Yeah, that's fine. I'll trade the army into a Golem's Bite here, get it out of the way. They also have to get rid of a food here, which keeps them farther away from the 3 for Samwise. I think this is pretty reasonable to get that out of the way. And they'll Golem's Bite make Bill a ring bearer. That's the really big issue, but they could have made one of their creatures a ring bearer regardless, just kill Kerbane instead and make a ring bearer. Again, I think we're just going to lose because we just can't kill their ring bearer because our sealed pool has no removal spells. But let's see. Pretty good draw. Gotta pay the life for now. Guess Golem attacks fine. We can get our Haunt into the grave now that we're gonna have a legendary on board. They're just not even gonna block, fair enough. It's a pretty good natural top deck. Yeah, that's pretty frustrating. Level 1 ring bearer here. And I don't even kill Aomer. Put the Haunt on Bill and smite the Bill. And keep Kerbane back, because I could stack it up with a Troll for 4 damage. Okay, if they do this, I think I'm just stacking Golem with the Troll. Rather than the Kerbane, because we can Golem Haunt synergies. And even if Golem falls off this board, we still have a Legend on board because of the Ring Tempt ability to reanimate Haunt to the Dead Marshes right now. Cool. They are going to kill the knife-wounded creature. Now we try to smite Bill. Bill's gone. Now we can reanimate Haunt to the Dead Marshes. Scry into the big spider. That's very good. They don't have draw a card, discard a card every turn anymore. So it somewhat depends on the power level of the cards in their hand here. Haunt to the Dead Marshes is a good one. Okay, never mind. Haunt to the Dead Marshes is actually brutal. Because they've got the Haunt to the Dead Marshes Samwise Gamgee combo again. So they're going to keep getting food every time they're reanimating the haunt that they can eat or spend to pick up a historic card. Yeah, Samwise plus haunt is really busted here. Again. To where if I attack with the spider, they just get a third food token and pick up Aomer. I mean, last game they just kept eating their food every single time, and if they block with Haunt, we get to scry one as well, at least. I think I send Golem in. Golem trades off, I get a level up on the ring, and then I sack the Haunt, bring back the Golem. Interesting, they really don't want me to scry. So they're just going to block with the 1/1. Okay. And then they're just going to eat the food? Okay, that worked so much better than I thought it would. I was say, if they just blocked with the Haunt, reanimated the Haunt, 3 food tokens, pick up an Aomer, I would be very concerned. Because then they play Aomer, they get another food, they attack with Aomer. They actually don't get another 1/1 from Aomer anymore, since we have an 8/8 on board. So I guess it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but I do think it would still be there. Better play than just chumping and eating all that food. Well, that's an incredibly good draw. Now they get to draw a card and discard a card every turn again. And they've got a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Feels like they don't even need the Ring Bearer to draw incredibly well with how these games have gone, but they've pretty consistently had the Ring Bearer, so probably just feels that way. Sure. If they go for the triple block on my spider, I guess. It's 6 treasures. I highly doubt that's going to happen, though. They're probably just trying to attack with the troll while I don't have enough blockers to do much. So just make sure we can triple block a troll. Lobelia to surprise kill Samwise might be really good, too. No blocks, okay. Yeah, that's very good. Shadowfax now. I guess I could double block Samwise, but then I wouldn't be blocking Troll. I think they should feel free to attack with Samwise here, to where we can get the Lobelia kill, but I don't think they're going to. Yeah, that sucks. I think they're actually really free to do it if I didn't have Lobelia in hand, because I can't really afford to double block there and then not block Troll. I guess I could, sort of. Uruk-hai Berserker, level 4 ring. Alright. Pretty solid 2 cards in hand. We know one of those was off the top. This is wild. Make Shadowfax the ring bearer then. Level 1 ring-bearing Crabane. Many spooky. Hence Fury on Samwise. I mean, that has to be like the best draw in our deck. I don't know if it's going to win us the game because we're not blocking this troll, but Or we're probably not blocking this troll, but we'll see. I guess I could kill the troll with it, but they have 3 food tokens to bring back a historic card from their grave. What historic cards are in their grave? Shadowfax for 4/4 haste, Aomir for 5/4 haste. I guess none of their historic cards in grave are big enough to get through Shelob. Ay. So I kill the troll. And we just can't really attack. Really wanted to have Samwise's ability on my board, though. Oh, I shouldn't have I shouldn't have auto-tapped for Ent's Fury, because now I don't have enough black mana to reanimate Haunt of the Dead Marshes right now, so I'll have to do it in my upkeep. Probably fine, though. I don't think I could draw anything too expensive. But I need mana to Golem Haunt loops. So Samwise is instant speed, too. There's Errand Rider of Gondor off the top to draw another card. Sorry if I draw you, Peregrine. I'm eating a little bit of food. Level 2 Ring-Bearing Kerbane. Don't want to draw a card, discard a card this turn, but that's good in the future. Yeah, I mean, I'm still really not enjoying their Samwise popping off here, especially with Haunt of the Dead Marshes. But our other option was to let them keep a 6/5 that would make us block with the whole board, and they could respond to us casting it by using Samwise to reanimate one of their haste creatures. We'll bring them back to hand to cast there. I just think it was a really, really risky line to let them keep that 6/5, because then they're hitting us with that and a haste creature and like the rest of their board. Could very well just find lethal off that. But obviously them still having a Samwise sucks too. Pathfinder's real good with this spider. Death Touch Trample. They have 5 million food tokens though. Yeah, and I'm gonna get hit really hard. I'm gonna send both in. They're gonna make their biggest creatures flying anyway. Just keep the chumpity chumps on ground. Probably just block with the Haunt here. We both get a food token and scry one. And they reanimate the Haunt. Okay. Scry that swamp to the bottom. Drop a Pathfinder. And maybe they don't see Death Touch Trample. If they just attack us with everybody and don't have mana for food, I don't know how on earth that would happen, but maybe. Probably like our only bet here. They're just gonna hit me for 6 in the sky and hold up the ability to gain 5,000 life. Playing it way too safe for my taste. For me to really have a chance in general. Both get a food token. It's actually really bad right now, I think. So get that Kerbane, draw discard. And I kind of need Kerbane on blocks. I just attack with Shelob, give it trample, pass. Well, 2, 4, 5. I have enough mana to trample Shelob and eat a food, so I'm not gonna die in one flying hit. Guess I do send in Kerbane then. I don't think Mordor Muster is good either right now. I'm just gonna be spending all my mana on Pathfinder. I don't think it matters too much what I keep. I guess I'll keep Oath over Mordor Muster. I'm just gonna let it in. They're planning to crack back for lethal. And I guess I'm gonna have to play Oath of the Grey Host to not die on the crackback. But then I still probably die if they reanimate a haste card. But maybe not. So they reanimate a 5-power haste card. Oh, no, they're just gonna... They get to eat another food and then still do it. They get a 5-power haste card, attack with it and the flyer. That's 8 in the sky. I can block 3 ground troops, so I can block there, there, there. Take 1... Yeah, I barely survive unless they have a haste creature and like a removal spell or something here. I should be able to like barely survive a crackback. They gotta have a good spell and use Samwise to get a haster down with Landroval. Attack for 6, play it safe, keep the mana for all the food is the plan. And we're down to 2. There's Westfold Rider to blow up our Oath. They get a food. They have 6 mana for food. 6 mana for food equates to 9 life. No way we trample for lethal. Now we 100% have to Kerbane chump. Meriadoc, but I have no halflings to attack with to get a food. Oh, Golem's a halfling. 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. Could attack with Golem and the spider. Then I don't have the mana to eat the food and give the spider trample, though. Probably do let the trade happen. Move the ring bearer onto the spider here. Because again, if I just buff Golem, they just eat more food. pick up Golem. Still have the mana to eat our food and pick up the Haunt as well. I think I just take it with a bow coming up. They have 12 life gain on their board. I've got enough mana to play the bow and the +3/+3 trample. I could just like go for it. That feels excessively risky though. But realistically speaking, we should be able to hit them for 12 if I attack with everybody, I think. 3 blockers. They don't really stop any Shelob damage, because we trample that over. I'm just going to attack with these two. The math is too complex for me. This is good enough for me. Legolas? God dang it. I think I have to keep bow over Legolas. Jump there. Okay. Still done on board. Dead on board. No longer dead on board. If I give Golem +3/+3 trample, we're hitting for 9. +4, we're hitting for 13? Can hit for 14 with that plus bow, which is also not lethal. So I don't do anything, because it's not going to lethal. I gotta play faster, we're just gonna lose game 3 to time. Choose the spider. Just pass turn. We speed it. We speed mode it. I just need to bow our spider. We win the turn after this with a level 4 ring-bearing Shelob getting trample. Build a pony, it's more food, that's fine. Can still win with trample. They've only got 6 mana to spend on food. We're not even dead on board. They're gonna pass turn. I'm gonna eat the food. We're saving the bow then. Aomer. Don't have the mana to trample. If I Aomer, we need the mana to trample. Send in the spider. Now we trample the spider and then hold up bow mana, I think. They have 4 mana up, they can gain 6, go to 12. They've got an instant speed removal spell they got there. Okay. Oh my god, okay. We're 30 seconds up going into game 3. This game's not going to end. We just need to mull to a hand where we survive, and we need to play faster than them. This hand can survive. Off with Smite the Deathless. There's Gorbag. It's smited. I need a black source now, though, or we might still die. Bill the Pony could kill us. Yeah. There's a black source. Yeah, torment them. No follow-up play for extra damage. It's all removal, wow. Claim the Precious is the best removal spell, though, so we get rid of that one. But that's an issue of a hand. Wow, and there's the envelope off the top, so they still get a ring-bearing Bill the Pony for damage. That's bad. None of their spells are instant speed, so if we get something on board that can Ent's Fury, like a big enough army, then we can do that. It's a big enough army. They can banish this army, but they are not going to kill us in a minute. Could have waited with bow in hand to untap this in response to a banish. Or no, it would still work. Okay, new army. Attack. Keep the Oliphant, because that'll kill them fast. Haunted Dead Marshes doesn't do anything. Morgul Knife Wound, sure. Let the Kerbane die. Bag End Porter, that's big. Big card. Uruk-hai Berserker, make a ring-bearing Haunts. We have the 1/1 to trade into it. They're going to make Berserker the ring-bearer, and they have Knife Wound for Bag End Porter. Okay. Bag End Porter gives me the blocks for the Berserker. So I'm going to block and kill the Berserker, and then I'm going to let it die. Shadowfax, 4/4. Play a 2/3. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's Klein now. I've got the bow. Also got Legolas now. Still have bow mana. Oliphant, Eomer, and attack next turn. Okay. There is some mood audio going on right now as well. I don't know if you can hear that on the mic, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning level thunderstorm going on right now, so very heavy, aggressive rain adding to the stress of that final game, but by the skin of our teeth. I think we were outclassed in many of these matchups. Some very, very, very nicely built decks from our opponents with some high quality of cards. But we've drawn some really nice, real valuable cards, and haven't played super tight, but just well enough to barely find these victories, and that's gonna do it. That's 4-0 in the best of 3 qualifier play-in event for the Lord of the Rings, which means we have entry into the qualifier weekend starting the day of this video's release, this Saturday and Sunday. So that will be tomorrow's video. We will have day 1 of the qualifier weekend, and if we get super lucky and play super well, we might even make it into day 2 of the qualifier weekend. So incredible run there. A lot of absolute nail-biter games, especially the very last game. Played some crazy Magic. I'm really, really happy with the build of this deck. It played out way better than I could have even imagined, and I think it's the best we had in the sealed pool, and it played out really, really well, because I was a little disappointed in the sealed pool in general when I built it, because we were so low on that removal, and that did play pretty poorly for us in a lot of those games, but we have some power, we have the mana fixing to get to those powerful spells, be able to cast them relatively consistently between Legolas and Eomer, there and back again, Shelob, the Child, all of the land cyclers being big finishers, just some incredible tight games of Magic with some real nice draws throughout to find us our victories. Alright, well there's our prizes, and I suppose I'll be seeing you all again tomorrow for the Qualifier Weekend Day 1 video. So I'm going to spend the rest of this evening calming down, getting my heart rate back to normal levels, getting my head all reset and ready for that Qualifier Weekend, and I suppose no matter what happens, we made it into the Qualifier Weekend. We're way up in gems because the Qualifier Weekend is going to be free for us. We're going to get however many gems we get for however many wins. It's been a pretty great weekend, but we'll see if we can't make it even better, do the best we can to get as far as we can tomorrow in that Qualifier Weekend. If you haven't heard of the Qualifier Weekends before, they are really competitive events where you have to win the Qualifier Play-In Event to get in, or you have to be top 250 Mythic in the previous month. And what you're competing for a qualification in is the next Arena Championship. Those are the really big tournaments that they always live stream on Wizards' official Twitch channel and YouTube and all that, that have thousands and thousands of dollars on the line, like the biggest, most competitive arena events. So pretty spicy stuff if we can win, but you do have to win a lot of games of Magic with very few losses. I think it's 2 match losses and you're out, and then you don't even make it to day 2. So you have to win a ton during day 1, get into day 2, and then win a ton during day 2 to get in to the Arena Championship event. So definitely stay tuned to that if you're interested in checking out the Qualifier Weekend event. But that is going to do it for the Qualifier Play-In Event, so that's going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube channel members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you'd like to see some more of these videos, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. You can also catch me live at the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, or support the channel directly at the Patreon link, or by clicking the join button in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.